So then now to actually hammer on the topic of what are the stages. So right now they're at they've completed level 1 and level 2. There's still 3, 4, and 5 to do for the Anchorage School District, which is to so they've already defined the strategies to support the board, the ASD board goals, and they created structures and processes. The curriculum, um, they just want to conduct implementation snapshots, develop leadership structures, build proficiency in the K through kindergarten to 2, second grade, daily phonics lessons with evidence-based routines. It's just there's a lot going through my head because it's just it makes me so sad that if you looked at the way kids were taught in school, in the 70s, they learned more than what kids are learning today. Like, I have to teach my kids outside of school. So not only are my kids in school, they are also learning when they get out of school math, literature, science, history. I teach them that on my time, in my dime. I'm paying $200 a year, and it's for 12 months, so it's not a lot. Like what's it, $200, 12, $25 a month, pretty much. I mean, it's nothing. You people that have Netflix, Disney, Hulu, HBO, Amazon subscription, those of you that have the drone app in your car, that's $80, $60 a year. Your cell phone, I don't want to hear it. Now, I know cell phones are a necessity nowadays because texting, calling, applying for jobs, so on and so forth. So I'm not saying it like, as a punch in the face, but what they're trying to do here only benefits those that are in last place. And what I mean by that is the kids that live with grandparents, where the parents are totally out of the picture. The kid is in a mental fire, not knowing who their actual mother and father are because they've either left by their own means, drug means, or sadly, they went to God. It's just death. And that kid is so lost, they're so hurt, that school is the last thing that they want to pay attention to. Especially when it's made in a fashion that makes them feel as if they have to be dragged to the finish line. And they're talking about teaching principals to lead teachers to then lead students. Teachers should be leading principals on how to lead students. And it's like what I do in my business as well as I've done in management is me as the senior manager, store manager, whatever level manager. If I've had any employees that I do not look at them as less than. I do not look at them as they have nothing to contribute or that they just need to stay in a lane that doesn't even exist. My employees will always beat me talking to customers. I'm keeping the boat going. I'm making sure that we're not being attacked on the large scope of things, but they're going to notice if this is, put in a ship concept, they're going to notice if there's a crack on the ground, on the wooden floors. The sails are getting a little bit tattered and need to be replaced. We're low on the food store, low on food. We're low on water or whatever drinks. How many people are getting sick and dying, so on and so forth. All those people come to me and tell me these things. There's no way I can go to 50, 100 people and get this information. These teachers are dealing with 20, 30, 40, 50 kids. They need to be telling the principal, this is what's happening. You have to do something. there's no way for a principal to be looking at somebody that has less power than them and saying you need to do this. That's a little bit of a problem for me, because I will never tell somebody that has less power than me that they are on the line more than me. And I think that's a very big problem I have with this, which is there's so much on the line for these teachers to have to make up, fix, and then bring to the table. And then the people at the Anchor School District in these executive positions get to sit back, look at numbers, and then figure out if they're meeting expectations or whatnot. When those teachers need to be telling them this is how you can meet these expectations. These kids are coming in with these types of problems. This is how these types of things should go. Is you should listen to the teachers that are, me personally, no offense to teachers that are, 1 to 4 years in, but I think a teacher that's been in from 5+ years on has a lot of knowledge to bring to the table, and able to talk on those things as far as watching the kid that was not very good in school becoming better, or the kid that is that came into school with a good head on the shoulders gets worse, so on and so forth, that they can actually write this out and say, these are the steps I've took, these are the things that actually I did, rather than you're sitting down with a counselor and then that counselor with the PhD is like, well, this is through my statistics, my reports, this is what they need to do. We even brought people from Lower 48 up here to make these decisions. I don't know what their names are. This is the scary part, is when there's people making plays for this state that aren't even from here. They're looking at documents, they're looking at stats, they're looking at numbers, they're looking at maybe pages of writing or literature that is happening in Alaska. But quite frankly, if you're not going to give me a name of a person, that's where it gets dangerous, because that means somebody's not going to be held on the hook with the people that are going to be affected. This is going to affect hundreds of kids. This is going to affect hundreds of parents, or thousands, even scarier, which I don't even like saying that to be hyperbolic or to be, screaming fire. But there's plays right now that this school board's going through, which is the implementation stages. You can find it on ASD's website, and the press release right there. All these map growth, parent guide, all this stuff. And quite frankly, it's just wild.
Cycles. We believe
and
that
then they have
that ASD principals
student comments, they had public comments.
And the community in a myriad of ways during the past few years.
Across a number of different...
And this gentleman,
to make...
what is his name? What is it called? Anchorage, Alaska Superintendent. What is it?
According to the most efficient
Superintendent.
living in Anchorage, Alaska has...
No. Superintendent for Anchorage, Alaska students. Here we go. So this is the person. It's Dr. And I don't mean to butcher his name. I try to respect people by their names. Jaharit, or just Harrit if the J is silent. Bryant. Came in summer of 2022. He's not from here. He has a contract for 3 years up here. Where is he from? That's where he's from. Selects Texas School District Executive Superintendent. independent school district in Texas. Resume, huh? Can I actually see it? So, Doctor of Education, Education Policy and Leadership, Cooperative Superintendent Program, Master of Education. Okay, that's before. Yeah, he went to Yale. Forbes Culture 50 list named one of the 50 champions of communities of color. Director, Senior Manager, and other roles, Department of College Readiness, Assistant Superintendent, Office of Strategy and Innovation, Executive Office, Office of Talent, Executive Officer of Talent. He was only there for a year, 5 years, 3, 2. Seems pretty right to keep moving up. So he comes from nearly 80% of students economically disadvantaged. So I'm going to actually do a video on this guy and then kind of like do a little deep dive in to see what happened during his years at there at the 7th largest school district in the United States. Over 194,000 students, 283 schools. 80% of the students are economically disadvantaged. So I wonder what that actually brings to the table to see if he actually helped them or what happened, because that's something that's very alarming, in a good or bad way. I don't know until I do a deep dive. But these are the things and these are the plays that are happening up here within Alaska, and this person is now in charge of making the students successful. And as we go in here, math proficiency, multi-ethnic, which is just mixed race, white, black, Hawaiian, black, Asian, Alaska Native, is just mixed. And then, again, blacks are just not even in last place. You got Hawaiians and Natives under by percentage points, and it dramatically dropped for the next year in this map growth. Hawaiians actually increased, but blacks increase. Everybody increased. It's just dramatically the increase actually happened within actually minorities. 88. So you got 3, 5, 4. Yeah. So they actually focused a lot on blacks to transgender. I didn't like that. It was white versus black with and against gays and transgendered, the LGBT community. And that was something that it was not needed to be on the table here.
More for our kids to have a fulfilling and
get through all
I'm
this.
writing the Constitution of the United States, IAC,
And the people,
which is one of the locations of this book. Thank you very much.
and some parents addressed again that there was a dominant side of protecting the LGBT group, but quite frankly, it was wild. And then this person, let me see, and you just gotta listen to this.
Patterson,
Michael Patterson.
Follow, but I'm a graduate of Bartlett. I have a son who's in first grade at the Alaska Native Culture Charter School, and I'm here to speak today in support of the land acknowledgement, the protocol.
And they were trying to do a land acknowledgement as far as the natives taking their land, so on and so forth, and then how that is going to benefit and stuff like that. But I'll let him go further.
I just want to say at first, someone I mentioned the Constitution makes everyone equal. The United States Constitution is a lie. The United States Constitution constitutionalized slavery. It constitutionalized colonization. and it literally created groups of second-class citizens and subgroups. And so this idea or this myth that the Constitution somehow, made us all equal is not true. And so a land acknowledgement, I think, is the most basic. It is the most minimal thing that the school district can do, is to start to promote these land acknowledgements more and more, because as a parent of an Indigenous student, it actually makes me feel pretty happy that my son is becoming culturally competent in where he comes from, and that the school district is making an effort to acknowledge the wrongs of the past. And the thing is, these things are not in the past. They happen all the time. I was looking at the math and the reading results, and it's not a cultural thing. It's not a community thing. It's not a coincidence that the white students are above proficient, and students of color and Indigenous students are mostly struggling or below proficient. That's not that's a systemic thing. That's oppression. And so this idea that somehow land acknowledgement is going to make other people feel bad or other students feel less, or put one group in front of the other. The entire history of the United States is putting one group of people above everyone else. That is a historical fact. And not having these land acknowledgements is essentially historical revisionism. And this is, you're all educators. Your job is to educate. And if the simplest way you can educate about history is just acknowledging whose land you're originally on, I think that's a great thing. And it doesn't cost anybody any money. And so this idea, so to close, it's just, it bewilders me that some folks can think that other students will feel bad if they're not Indigenous. But I myself, am Korean and African American, and growing up here in Alaska.
And then he goes into just about himself. But America doesn't have a pretty past. We all acknowledge that. But no other country has a very good past. I guarantee every civilization on this globe, if you look hard enough, you will find something repulsive, horrid, a stain on that culture or that race or that area of the globe that would make them the worst people on the planet. It's not just the United States. I'm sick of hearing it. I know they have done stuff that is wildly repulsive. I know they still do stuff within this country, within this society, that is ungodly. But here's the thing. I'm not going to look at it as an American thing. Just as I'm not going to go to North Korea and say all North Koreans are bad. Or all Africans are bad. No, there are just bad people. Africa is not bad. It is people that will do heinous things that'll make a place go bad. But the place isn't bad, it's the people in it. On top of that, he specifically targets white people and black people. Yeah, he's part black. That's fine. Here's the reality. A lot of black families don't pay attention to what their kids are doing in school. They send them to school as daycare. They come home as daycare. They get them on a TV or a tablet, or they just throw them into their room, or they just get to go outside and do whatever. In the black community, let's be honest, academics is not the top 5 things. It's entertainment. It's trying to look cool. It's trying to be cool, get money, and kind of always try to be the top on top. Which means nothing if they don't have an education. But in a lot of other cultures, me specifically, I had a really great friend that was South Korean. I want to make sure. I believe, yeah, he's South Korean. Because her jokes are always like, I don't know what you are, but you're Asian. But I don't mean to say it like that. But we say jokes like that nonstop to each other. He says, you'll always be faster than me because you're black. And I was like, well, you can train too. And he's like, nah. And so that's pretty much my life with people, is we always rag on each other's skin tone, but not like in a way that is to make it like we're repulsed by him, or we think we're better than, or what, we think we're better than each other or whatnot, or the other person. But he always finished his homework before he played. And then while we played, when his dad came home, he immediately stopped playing. He would sit at the dinner table and his dad would look over his homework. I was floored by that because as I looked at other friends, their parents didn't ask them, "Hey, where's your homework? Hey, how are you doing in school?" But he would sit down with his dad across the table from each other, and it was like a business transaction. And he went on to do great things. And I've seen other families that didn't do that, and their kids didn't go on to do good things. They fell behind in school, the drugs, jail, or they worked KFC in the fryers. But I noticed that immediately in middle school. I want to say it was 8th grade, and then that's what I've seen with a lot of Asian cultures is they do the work first and then they get to play. Work hard, you get to play hard. It's the opposite for black culture. No offense. I don't mean to say that as anything. Even I was a kid. Mentally I would always I want to go have fun and then I'll go do the work. Dragging my feet to go do it. These need to be said. And I don't like how this guy portrayed white people as being like the white devil, and they all still suppress the black culture to not be able to do their thing. Spade's a spade. I go to my daughter's school and kids are acting wild. The dad's not in the house. The mom uses the kid as a weapon. The state uses the kid as a weapon towards the dad. Or the dad's just a bum. The kid has no leadership in the house, out of the house. They become a wild animal in all shapes of the word. They don't listen to reason. They don't respect people. They have no integrity. They have no honor. They have no values. And so you get it to where kids aren't doing well in school because the house isn't doing well, because society will say white kids are better than black kids, and there's still racism. There's still neglect. There's black people are still put down and thrown down. This creates monsters. If you tell a black kid, "Hey, white people are always going to do better than you," you're not going to have a dad in your life. You're always going to be second, third, fourth, fifth place, and there's no first place for you. There's no way for you to get ahead. No one's going to value you in the way you should be valued. You're not breeding adults to have a good, stable mind. That's how you breed evil people, insidious people, very venomous people. When they feel the world's against them, especially when adults are telling them that the world's against them, there's no way out. What do you think is going to happen? That's what I learned from this, and that's what I took away from a lot of this. That there was no plan of action to actually get these kids into a better state of mind, better place in life, a future that they actually are going to be happy to strive for. None of the talks here were talking about striving. It was pointing fingers. What are we going to do? Hands in the air. We hired people from out of state to take care of a budget that we don't want to take care of or don't know how to. Kick the can down the road kind of speech is from what I got from it, to where we're now at the point of
in concert with administration during the development of this board policy amendment. And to that end, it's my understanding.
Stop it. You have the ability.
like,
Stop it. Well, there's context.
what is
You
it?
have at this time
Practices, strict
beta tested.
So let me get this set up and give you a picture here. Your kid's falling behind in school. They're not doing good at math, science, history, any type of literature as far as reading and writing. And this is what we're going to pay attention to because we think kids need this more than that.
And there will be
And I don't mean to say it that way, but that's what I got from watching this, because I don't know how this helps my kid succeed in life.
a phased-in launch. It will be elementary and charter schools. We don't have a launch date yet for that, but it will be in the second semester of this school year. We do have at this time.
And this video you can watch. It's on the ASD school board.
If you'd like to view it, the students have made ASD students have made a video, and this is the video that will be used as one of the launch services of Stop It to promote the platform.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. That would be excellent.
Anchorage School District believes that being successful in school starts with having a safe learning environment. That's why administrators and staff continually evaluate district building and safety practices to make our schools as safe as possible.
Although statistically, school is one of the safest places we can be, tragedies impact us all, and it's important to have a plan for any situation that could arise.
Our district leaders consistently work with local law enforcement officials to update safety procedures throughout our campuses. Our district counselors continue to implement new strategies to improve the overall health of our students and staff alike.
Building safety measures have been effective in decreasing violence. One of the greatest assets to stopping violence is us, the students, which is why the Anchorage School District encourages students to report suspicious activity using the Stop It app. When using Stop It, you have the ability to anonymously report any threats or concerns you've encountered about your school or the district. For example, you can use the app to report situations of bullying, weapon possession, sexual harassment, inappropriate online behavior, or anything else you might consider threatening. To download the app, visit either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and search for the Stop It app. Once downloaded, open the app and enter the access code provided by your school district. If you need to make a report, tap the Submit a Tip button and type a detailed message of your concern. If possible, provide photos or videos for additional evidence and submit the report. Your message will be sent anonymously to an administrator who will promptly launch an investigation into the situation. Through the Stop It Messenger feature, administrators might ask you for more information if needed, but they will still not know who you are. It's completely anonymous.
You have the power to lessen the pain someone is going through, or possibly even save their life by speaking up. And the Stop It app empowers you to help yourself and others while keeping your school safe.
Remember, this app is not a joke. It is not a place for drama or pranking a friend. This is a safety measure meant to be taken very seriously. If you are unsure if you should report a situation you've witnessed, consider those who have been impacted by situations that could have been avoided if someone spoke up. Think about the many lives who have been lost and communities that have been affected by serious situations. Do your part by reporting trouble when you see it.
So, it's just crazy that you would create an app that kids could abuse. Because kids are kids, let's be real. We've all done stuff that got another kid in trouble, and we were way too our emotions to actually understand the situation at hand. I've had friends get in trouble with the school in high school because they said something, a girl overheard it, and she thought they were talking about her. She told security. Those kids got in trouble. Those kids didn't know what they got in trouble for. They started getting angry because they were talking just amongst themselves about, what was it about so long ago? They were talking about this one girl that blew him off on a date, which wasn't even the girl that got mad. And they said, well, just whatever, next. And then so the girl thought they were just talking about like just girls are just objects. But they were like, no, this guy was going through a situation where the girl blew him off. And the guy's like, oh, just get, I guess, start talking to a different girl. That girl took it upon herself to call security and say, these girls are just looking at, these guys are looking at girls as objects. This is ridiculous. So that means, oh, these guys are like touching women or whatnot. They went that far. So they grabbed the guys, my friends. They're in the office now. Okay, this is somebody that went up to a security guard face to face, so they had to admit it. And then the security guard, thank goodness, started asking questions. The kid's like, no, this is what happened. This is what I said. Like, well, what about this girl? They're like, I don't talk to that girl. I don't care about that girl. I was talking about this girl I was trying to date. She blew me off on a date. And the security guy's like, oh, good. Now we got the facts. Now imagine when it's anonymous and then somebody just overhears something that they're not even a part of, that they take out of context because they weren't a part of the conversation. And then now they're just going to just report stuff. It's going to be a zoo. I mean, it's going to help some kids I'll say 50-50 shot. How about making the kids focus on learning, understanding, being productive, having a solid foundation of stability to excel in their life, instead of if you see something, say something. It's like, how about you sit down and learn something? They don't talk about that. They do these broad brushstrokes through this 3-hour video of no offense, wild nonsense, to have these types of little snippets of, this is an app that we're making to help kids that are being bullied, cyberbullied, or whatnot. Here's a story that I'll tell personally. My daughter in high school was, let me give context. My daughters don't have phones. They don't need them. They don't do business. There's nobody that they talk to that they can't use my phone to talk to. And there's no reason for them to have a phone because they can message their friends through Google Messenger that I can keep tabs on. There's no reason. I can message my daughters through their Gmail to get a hold of them if I need something, vice versa. That being said, these girls went on to say my daughter is posting stuff on Instagram. My daughter had Instagram when she had a phone through her mom. That was crushed and kiboshed. Done. This was over a year and a half ago. So she doesn't have Instagram. This just happened this year. So these girls are saying, oh, she's cyberbullying this girl. They show proof, but my daughter doesn't have an Instagram account. Whichever kid put her name as the name, they copied and pasted photos and sent them back to each other to then show them to security saying, my daughter said and did this on the internet, to make this kid feel like they're fat and they were fat and then that they were stupid. And so she was cyberbullying. My daughter doesn't have a phone. She doesn't have Instagram. All of her electronics and both of my kids' electronics low jacked. They don't get to do stuff on the internet without me knowing. So I get a call from the school. Oh, your daughter had to go to the security office because she was, we were told that she's cyberbullying a girl. What are you talking about? On what platform? Instagram. She doesn't have Instagram. Oh, well, they said she does. Who are they? Oh, well, we can't give the names of the students. I was like, okay, so my daughter doesn't have Instagram because it's blocked on her on the laptop that's mine that I let her have for school, and her home computer is also low jacked to where she can't just do willy-nilly stuff without me getting a ping to my email. So she doesn't have Instagram. So what proof do they say that she did it? Oh, her name's on the Instagram username. Okay, you can change that. Everybody can change that to whatever they want it to be. She's like, well, yeah. I was like, so what's going to happen with these people that falsified a report? Well, we can't really say it's false because it did happen. I was like, yeah, but one of them wrote the false things about saying this person's fat and dumb. Are they not going to get sat down and said this is not acceptable? And that's the problem I see with this, because now you can be anonymous. That was something that these girls had to go face to face and show. That's the problem I see here, is that they're trying to enforce so much protection for students that they're missing the big picture, that people have free will. Whether that is a good thing or bad thing is dependent on the character of the person saying or showing whatever they're doing. That's the problem with this app. You can blindly say whatever you want, especially if you don't like somebody. How many times do we have to hear somebody got put in jail, somebody was on house arrest, somebody got grounded, somebody got suspended? Horribly enough, somebody had their life ended over a lie. And then those were adult situations. Kids that don't want to get caught telling a lie, but also don't like the person, now have an out to be anonymous with this app. That is the part that I think a lot of these people aren't looking at. Yes, it's a great app. It's great for people that are actually in these situations of inner turmoil, ridicule, and depression. Perfect. There is another side to the coin. Who's going to cause irreversible damage once this gets out? And it just goes on more they're going to create a land acknowledgement saying, this is native land, and which is fine. I don't really care about that. That's perfectly fine. I know this is, native land. We have the Alaska map is still filled with names of previous indigenous people, and our rivers, our lakes, so it doesn't really bother me. I don't know why they made a big deal about this. Big deal. I mean, it was like 15, 20 minutes talking about just landing.
ASD community, I do notice some different faces than we had earlier today, so I thought it would be prudent just to share some highlights from what I shared earlier today prior to our very difficult discussion.
And they keep talking about a difficult discussion. So, again, our Anchor School Board $68 million deficit. That this isn't the first year, second, third, fourth, fifth. This is a good 7 years down the road, kicking a can, in lack of accountability. Any CEO, CFO, COO, any manager, if they are in a continuous deficit, they're going to be fired or told to resign within 2 years or within the year in itself. If you don't pick up by next quarter, get another job. None of these people were held to that standard. None of these people were held to that fire. This guy being new, I don't have anything really negative to say about him until I look him up and see where his background falls and lies. But they care so much about diversity that they miss the foundational problem. Where is the money going? That's my biggest problem, is that they don't show a pie graph. And I'm going to make a pie graph. I'm going to look at all the stats that I can pull, and it's not going to be 100% factual, but at least it gives a good rough guess as to who's getting paid, who's not, where's the money going, and where's it not going. Because this is ridiculous with how large they make these PDF files for human consumption, for the public to see. When realistically, I think the info that they should be giving to the public should be able to fit on 5 to 10 pages. So if you have 100 pages, 5 pages. 200, maybe 7. 500, you should be fired. I'm not gonna lie. You should not be doing anything as far as to get your point across that requires 500 pages, even 200 pages, even 100 pages. It should be 5 pages, 5 to 7 pages. this is what's happening. If you need to go more into depth, then say, you know, continuance on to this for this area, so on and so forth. But it shouldn't be 100, 200 pages of fluff and puff. This is the situation we're in. I'm appalled by it. I'm embarrassed by it, and I don't know why this is acceptable that people are allowed to act like this and carry on like this. That's it. That's all I have for this one. As I keep watching them, I'm gonna have more information to fill out. Stay tuned for when I do pull the stats for races, economic standing, and where the ASD is going to go. And hopefully I can find the names of the people that are in charge of our plan to recover $68 million. Bye-bye.